Hi, I'm Scotty,
Hi, I'm Aaron.
and we're the Spacing Effect. Hey, Aaron. We wanted to take just a little bit of time here and talk about our past past three covers, and then our fourth cover coming out this Friday, this December 9th. And we just want to kind of talk about them briefly and just kind of tell you what's going on. Aaron, the first two singles were your choices specifically, and Blind Dog. So for the people that don't know about this song and where it came from and sort of your reason for picking it, why don't you fill them in?
Yeah. Well, we did. I think we decided that we were going to do a selection of covers. We were each going to pick, like a couple, right? Like I'll pick a couple, you pick a couple. And so, yeah, the first one. And so Soundgarden is one of my favorite bands of all time. They're just awesome in every way. And
They're okay.
I wanted to do, they have so many hits, right? And a lot of their hits have, because they're so big and so popular, a lot of their hits have had a lot of play, right? A lot of energy, a lot of people covered them, and that's cool. I love those songs, but I wanted to do something that was more of a deep track or a rarity that wasn't so common, and give that some life, elevate that a little bit more. So Blind Dogs is one of those ones that I don't believe it's on an album. I'm pretty positive it's not on any of their regular albums. I think it came out on a soundtrack for that movie, The Basketball Diaries.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
In like the mid to late 90s. It was on, so Eddie Vedder back in the 90s put together a radio show where he invited a bunch of his friends, musician friends from Seattle, to his house, and they basically broadcast this radio show called Monkey Wrench, I think they called it, and like Soundgarden played, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, all these cool bands. And they played.
What? Wait. What?
Oh yeah.
I wish I knew about that.
Yeah.
Holy freaking crap.
You could only get it like in bootleg versions, CDs back. This is back then. I have it. I'll give it to you, or I'll download it for you. But yeah, it was broadcast out of his living room, which is so cool.
Wow.
But anyway, Soundgarden showed up and played a few songs, and Blind Dogs was one of them. So it's on. I heard it. This is probably like 1995, 94, 95. I heard it then on that CD. I always thought it was really cool, but never on any of those records. And then in more recent years, when they were touring, in the couple years up to their end, they kind of brought it out and they were playing it. And I think it's like on one of their most recent live albums. So, they kind of brought it back. But anyway, it's a rarity. And, any Chris Cornell song is pretty ambitious to take on vocally. So I was, immediately like in a uh-oh moment. And that's why, I took some liberties in terms of like a little bit more vocal layering and stacking just to kind of give it some fullness. Because it's pretty low in the register for me. So, but we made it our own, which I tried to stay true to the original, but also kind of put our stamp on it a little bit. So, yeah.
Which I think you did a great job. And then your friend, what was it, Eric?
Eric Vroman, yeah.
That's right.
We know him as Vroman, but Eric Vroman, good friend of mine, talented singer. He came in and sang. He's featured on the choruses. We kind of sing those choruses together, and then he does that final Chris Cornell high register scream. And I was more than happy to let him take that from me. So, but he nailed it, and I think it came out really good. So,
yeah, that was good, and that was one I never heard before too. So when you showed it to me, I'm like, okay, this sounds very Soundgarden-y. And then because I was a very fluctuated Soundgarden fan, like I wasn't sure at first, and then like I think like most people though, when Super Unknown came out is when I was just like, holy crap, there's I don't know, it opened my eyes to them.
Right.
But yeah, when I heard that one you showed me, I was like, this is pretty cool though. I like this a lot.
Yeah.
And again, and that's what was so weird too, is there's a few different live versions of it. So it was kind of weird to kind of like which one to go with.
Yeah.
But I'm glad the one that you showed me was the one we sort of kind of mainly went off of. And then you made it your own, and it sounds really good. So
yeah. And this is one of those ones where you did pretty much the lead guitar work. I did the rhythm guitar work. We always kind of flip flop, like
we do.
the leads, which is kind of cool the way we approach songs. Like it's just two of us and we're playing all the parts, but the way we kind of divide it up is cool. It usually stems from who's coming with the original idea, but.
True. Yeah. And you did, so we did that one. That was great. And, then you picked
I
Feel You.
Yeah.
Depeche Mode. Okay.
Yeah.
So where'd that come from?
A little bit, well, I'm a huge Depeche Mode fan, always have been. But they're not in, hard rockers, right? So it was a little bit of a different path for us to go down, at least.
Very true.
But I've always loved that song. I just like the kind of like the 6/8 time signature, the groove of it. The way he sings it is phenomenal. But I wanted to rockify it a little bit, because it is one of their most. It came out on an album that they did in I think 1993. I think Songs of Faith and Devotion, if I'm not mistaken, is the album. And it is one of their more organic albums in terms of playing real, guitars and real drums and playing together in a room and stuff. So anyway, it's one of my favorite songs for a lot of those reasons. So, but I wanted to rockify it even more. So we kind of, we stayed true to the arrangement, and, we did the drums, like both real organic drums plus some programmed, drum machine type rhythms that went on top of that.
Which took a little while for us, or to kind of find that.
Yeah.
You wanted to like complement and have that, carry that groove.
Yeah.
But you didn't want to be cheesy, like, click, 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 or whatever,
totally.
Just some.
And on that,
but you found it and it worked.
I didn't know exactly what the sounds that they put on that record way back in 1993. And it's kind of hard to really tell. So I had to kind of make up my own thing that's similar in the vibe, but it wouldn't be exact. So it did take me a while just to figure out not only the pattern, but the sounds. So I think I had like 4 or 5 versions of that before we actually landed on the one. And ironically, the one that we kept is probably the more simple of all the versions.
Yeah.
Simplified.
Yeah, it's true.
Funny the way that works. But we added heavier guitars, a little bit more driving guitars. Like we layered, like I did a lot of rhythm guitars and you did even more. And then we just kind of really layered those guitars, right? Along with those layered vocals. Another situation where I feel like, on the just my one vocal straight up the middle, was not enough for me, like I feel like I couldn't carry that song vocally, just one voice.
Yeah.
So that's when I tend to go to more of that, okay, let's stack the vocals and do some harmonies and just fill it up a little bit, which, it doesn't always work. It depends on the song, but I think in this context, it worked and it sounded pretty good. So, but it was fun doing that one, trying to get all the harmonics, the guitar harmonics and the little sounds. And it was, again, 6/8 time signature. It's a little bit different than your standard 4/4. So yeah, it was I liked, and it came together fairly quickly.
It did. And I think, it was fun for me because that was also another song I've never heard from Depeche Mode. But I mean, I'm one of those guys where I was like, I knew if they came on, I liked them. But when I heard this one, I'm like, oh, this is like almost like a classic rock tune, just like a very, to the core rock tune. And the way you were kind of doing it when you showed it to me, I was like, oh, okay, we could do this. Yeah. And then so I wanted to try to do a little bit of a meteor guitar. And then what the part that was challenging for me was coming up with a bridge, because that original, there's just like this very atmospheric, like dark tone to it.
Right.
And it just carries out. And I'm like, okay, I like that, but how can I carry that and do something with a guitar to beef it up a little bit? Because we are trying to make it a little more rockin'.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and then I took me a couple of tries, and then you kind of liked what I did and just stuck with it, and just,
Yeah.
I mean, it still kept that kind of like, tone, but I was able to actually make a little bit of a rhythm, like, climbing up and down a little bit. And then it kind of added to that end, and it was great.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, I don't know if you know this, at the very, very end, when I'm doing those really high guitar octaves or whatever, and I was doing the rhythm guitar, I took it at one point and just went all the way down with the D chord. I went all the way down to like whatever it was. I just took my sixth string, just went down all the way down to where it was like, okay, that's the right tone. I went flop, 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 for like the last four like strokes.
Really?
Just because I want to like it to hit, but I couldn't even tell. I'm like, oh well, whatever. And then you kept it in, you didn't notice. Like, yes.
Interesting. It's funny that I didn't notice that. I might have filtered it out, not even realizing what I filtering out those low frequency. I don't know. Now I'm gonna have to go back and listen for that.
So okay, then we had. Oh well, okay. So I know originally we had a thing where, it was going to be two you, two me, and then one agreed together, kind of a thing. And I couldn't decide my last one, but my first one was straight went to Plowed from Sponge.
Right.
And that was always one of those songs when I heard it in high school and junior high or whatever it came out. It was just one of those songs that I always loved hearing it and would just blast it. But I didn't know who sang it. I always kind of, for some reason, I always missed who it was.
Yeah.
And this was until honestly, maybe 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. I don't know, maybe around that range. But I finally found out who it was. I'm like, I freaking love that song. I would love to do that song. And then when we talked about doing covers, I was like, that absolutely. I want to do that one, but I want to do it like heavier guitars,
sure,
and make it driving. But we ended up doing that. But I dreaded this song too at the same time because it was a little difficult for me. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because I remember that song when it came out, and I remember really liking it immediately, and then going out and getting the CD immediately. And I remember this is back in the days where you bought a CD, a whole album. You heard one song,
at a record store,
the whole album. You're buying the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I saw them live too at one of the Lollapaloozas. But I've always liked that song. I guess I could say in my mind at some point I was like, yeah, that'd be cool to cover. But I was kind of surprised. Not really surprised, but like pleasantly surprised when you wanted to do that one, because I don't think we had talked about it before. I didn't even know you were, like them or that song or whatever. So I was like, that's cool, because that's one of the ones I could have easily picked myself,
Yeah, true. Very true.
So that's a good thing, So anyway, but yeah, I guess, well, a lot of your challenges, I didn't see, because a lot of these songs we've been doing in the last year, more and more have been kind of like, independently tracking, producing, then emailing each other the stuff, talking about it. And then, kind of, it's a different way to work, obviously, but that's how we've been working, is kind of remotely like that. So yeah, tell me, this is the first time I'm hearing maybe some of this, like what were the challenges you had?
Well, no, it was just, I think it was the thing where I know it's an E, I believe it's an E, but I wanted to do it lower. And I just it just needed that. I just always pictured it a little bit deeper in its feel. And so I had a hard time like doing that. And then the part that drove me freaking crazy was, what Tani could vouch for me, is that I played that riff, because there's no break in the song. There's like no freaking break in the song.
Oh.
And I played that tune. I had to have it right. I played it because then I have to do left and right, and then maybe a center.
Yeah.
Ty's giving me the look, but yeah. And I had to nail it and it took me so many times. No, but that it had to be an all the way through thing, and it drove me crazy. So I was even still with a little bit of compromise with letting it ring out, I think at one point or whatever, it gave sort of room for me to cut in possibly. Um, Actually, maybe not. I don't remember now. It's been a while. But the one thing, okay, so I'll tell you one thing real quick before we go on to Unsung. So last thing is uh, the drums are fairly simple, but there was always something every time I heard it on the radio, and it'd come out of that uh, unplowed into the sound, you know, and it kind of picks up again for that back into the don't give me the look. Um, Back into it, I was always expecting that drum to go or like just a double hit. I always wanted it to do that, and then obviously it never did. But I just always wanted to add that. And when we did it, it felt like there we go. It fulfilled me, like what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So so all that to say, it was harder. It had some more melodies that they didn't have that we added.
Right.
And I don't know, I just kind of liked our version a lot. It really grew on me. The one I dreaded, and it ended up being one of my favorites that we did.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy how it came out.
That's awesome. Yeah. I like how, again, the arrangement is the same. And, you know, for the most part, we stay true to it, but we also really did it our way. We did it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Like the lower register and adding some of those things. And that's the fun thing about doing covers is like, you know, you can still honor the song, but you can kind of like do it through a different lens, you know, which is cool.
So this was the last thing. So we picked Unsung, but before we picked Unsung, I was having a hard time picking my last song because I really wanted to do one more for me. And that was it was a fight between old Jimmy Eat World song, I can't remember what it was, and then a group called Handsome and their song called Ride Down, I believe. And it's a great song. It's super catchy and a very overlooked band back in the 90s. And I just couldn't do that. So I just said, you know, forget it. So then I think you and I were trying to figure out what we wanted to pick, and Unsung came up because I think it was between, I think I was going to suggest Deftones, and then somehow came into Helmet, and I was like, why not do Helmet? That seemed like that fit us really well because I think it was them and Chevelle's where we connected, honestly, on music-wise.
Yeah.
So, and I thought that was a really interesting one to pick. I mean, we could have picked a different Helmet song, but I don't know. That one seemed to be very, I don't know, on the nose for us, I guess, in a way. So.
Yeah. That's another one where, again, not surprised, but a little bit surprised that, you know, that you had picked that one, because that's another one I easily could have picked, right?
Yeah.
And I think you have the perfect vocal for that song, and you do. When we were just the idea of playing it, I was kind of, you know, picturing you sing that. I was like, oh yeah, that it would fit perfectly. I remember, okay, it was your song. You brought it forward. I started working on it, started getting drums and stuff, and then you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do it. Like you had some second thoughts about it, and I'm like,
it was,
and I don't know if you had heard already what I'd done or not, but I was really liking just even getting the first guitar, you know, going. You know, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. And so, oh no, I'm like, no, we're doing it. Like, we're doing it. And then I think I gave you a early version. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, now I'm excited.
Yeah, because the way you had it going, I'm like, oh, it just like brought all that like nostalgic wonder back in me, and just that motivation. I was like, oh, it's gonna sound sick. I'm like, okay, let's work on it.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that was a really fun one to do. It was fun to do all those guitars. You know, my guitar tones were a little bit different than the original. The original has those real like high gain scooped guitars, you know. Mine are a little more mid-rangey, a little more modern sounding. So, you know, there's a different kind of guitar tone, but the arrangement's the same. The drums are very, very close to the original. And you sing it, again, your voice fits that song perfectly, but then you do it your way. You do it the Scotty way. So yeah, I'm really happy that one turned out. That was fun to do.
Well, you know what's so funny too, Aaron? It was when we started doing it, and it was my turn to do the guitars, and I and Helmut's obviously very known for their off times or weird timing and that kind of stuff. So I know Peach Hamilton's like this jazz extraordinaire or something like that. And I'm like, and I played this song, like, I feel like I played this song 100 times, ever finding about drop D. And then, and all of a sudden it came to recording and I'm just going, oh crap. As the choke thing, it's like, it's got to be spot on or it's going to be really obvious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really had one hell of a time trying to do it and I just couldn't nail it. And then I think I just got to the point where I just wanted to move on and do vocals. And I threw it back your way and just said, dude, you're going to have to do these because I just can't do it. But then I think I did a little bit of the beginning noise, at least an idea of the beginning, and then you ended up doing it. Then I did the very end kind of noise. And
that was about there are some guitars that you did on there. I mean, a little bit, but when you kind of sent it back to me, I was like, yeah, no problem, because I already knew how to play it. I already had it, like I could have ready to go. I wanted you to do it or give you the opportunity to do it. But when you kind of said, hey, do you want to do it? I'm like, yep, okay, fine. Because I was dialed in. I had all the tones, I had everything ready to go, and I knew how to do the part. And I was like, all right, let me just finish this off. So yeah, that song jams. I mean, it's so good.
Even though I was having a hard time doing it, I was having a ball playing it though. Plus, I think we sped it up a little bit too. I think we had just a little bit faster than the original. And
the original pushes and pulls a little bit. It's not true on the beat. Which is interesting. Back in those days, not everyone played to a click. Bands just played to the drummer, and the songs have a little bit more of a looseness, to them, and some would argue that's better. Ours is a little bit more on time. So it's consistent.
That would explain, Aaron. That would explain then why I have bad habits.
I mean, yeah, we know it's in time, so that's cool. I'm good with that. So it may seem in some parts that ours is a little bit faster, but that's only because ours is a little more consistent. That's all.
Well, Aaron and I are very proud of these 4 songs. Unsung is a great way to end the year and our last little, collection of covers. And and I think it really is a good way to go out, honestly. And so this next year, so 2023, it's a good way to end the year. To start 2023, we already got some originals going on that we're messing around with, getting very close. To what's one of ours, Dig, called Dig.
That's probably the next release.
Yeah, I think it will be our first release of the 2023. I think it's got some really good feel to it. A little different in some ways. Possibly getting a special guest vocal as well to do maybe some yelling. Yep. A couple. And you have one that's almost the idea is pretty much tracked. We just got to format it a little bit more, and then that will probably be the next one after that.
Fine tune a little bit on there, but in fact, I'm going to hold you to that too, because as I'm going into mix Dig, I'm gonna say, get that song kind of finished up.
Well, to be fair, so Aaron's been helping me too do the past couple of weeks with a punk project I'm doing for this next year as well. But he really has helped me through it and been a real trooper with helping with that. And I know you've got something that you do as well, a little side project kind of a thing.
Yeah, I'm involved in a company called Max Conscious, it's a mental skills training company. But we, the philosophy behind it is they do the mental skills coaching through music. So I'm involved in the music production side of making songs and beats that the coaching kind of goes with. So it's not really singing, it's not really rapping, it's coaching, but it's to those beats. And it's a great way to learn. So maxconscious.com is where you could go and find more information. So again, I'm involved in more of the music arrangement, mixing and mastering. So I do that, not only, playing in the band, a musician, with you, Scotty, but I, just so everyone knows, I do mixing and mastering as well. So
Yeah, and
always busy.
You're willing to do that too, right?
What's that?
Willing to do that too, right? You're willing to do. Anybody out there that wants mixing and mastering? I mean, Aaron's got the skills and stuff, and you just hit him up.
Yeah, Aaron Cabral 90@gmail.com is my email. So anyone who is interested in mixing or mastering services, hit me up.
2023, who knows? You could be involved with a lot of that, being producing. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But
my happy place. So,
yeah, right. So this next year we got some more plans going on of more singles and stuff, and we're going to try and get some more music videos out too. Work on some of that, and so just look for us. Stay tuned for more information and all that good stuff. Also on the socials. But yeah, this Friday, December 9th, listen to Unsung by us. And we hope you enjoy it. Yeah, and download it, stream it. Thursday night at 9 o'clock on Pacific time and 12 o'clock Eastern time, I think, right? Stay tuned for more news coming up. And Aaron, thank you for your time, man. I appreciate you taking the time and doing this and chatting a little bit about the song.
Absolutely. I hope everyone enjoys it.